All right, Marina, I'm going to do this. I'm going to ask about your PhD. This is happening because I think it's very interesting, and because also, I mean, it was already in the poetry, I think, that you just read to us. I mean, there was Stravinsky, and there was playing the symphonies, and there was, your research, it's about symphonism in the arts. Can you just like briefly explain in a way that we can kind of understand it, what symphonism is first?
First of all, I'm very pleased to meet you all over here. A great pleasure to be a participant of this gorgeous festival. Thank you very much for the invitation. And now, yes, a little bit about symphonism. Thanks a lot to Lucas School of Arts and KU Leuven University of Belgium, because of whom I'm currently doing my research on symphonism. One of the questions of many poets is the formation of a poetic thought, its development and its transformation into form. I'm always preoccupied on how, on the artistic process of mine and of other poets. That's how it all started. That's how I came to the university. Throughout this research, I'm trying to think out loud on symphonism, which is an artistic technique as well as the way some artists think. Symphonism is a Soviet know-how, and it was developed by Russian musicologists throughout the 20th century. In simple terms, it's music thinking, certain principles of which are implemented in a work of art. Be it ballet, painting, poetry, or cinema. And when it comes to my analysis of symphonism in lyric poetry, it's a practice-based research. So I'm analyzing symphonic principles that I'm applying in my own lyric poetry. And I'm having a conversation with symphonism and the features of the orchestral music symphony in various strands.
Can you maybe, to like make it a little bit more concrete for us, can you give an example of this, of like a music principle that you apply in your writing?
What I'm trying to apply, for example, in one of the current poems is the sonata allegro form. This is a form of a symphonic form that I'm trying to put, that I have already put in the text of a poem. And then I'm trying to translate this form together with a team of artists, the animation artist and the artist who is doing the drawings in ink, all together. So, and also, for example, another feature is rhythm and instrumentation that exist in music. They also exist in poetry, of course. And in poetry, they exist, they're embodied in such sound devices as, let's say, assonance, dissonance, alliteration, the repetitions of sound. That's what I'm trying to analyze in my lyric poetry in connection to music.
And was there a music principle in any of the two, like maybe the one that is like easiest to explain? Like, was there a music principle in any of the two poems that you read to us just now in the video?
In the first, I think about the hands, and also in the second, there are music references more. So it's all the poems. And so in terms of music references, they are reflected in the content of those poems rather than in the structure, in the composition. Yes, very often I'm asked, the question is asked and addressed to me, how did I come to this kind of music thinking? Because I was not educated in music ever. I never went to a music school, let's say, yes. My inspirators, for example, the great Russian poet Andrei Bely, he wasn't also educated as a musician, but he, in the beginning of the 20th century, applied the principles of music composition in his 4 great symphonies. It's actually texts, yes, written according to the structure of a 4-part symphony. How did he come? It's one question, and it's a question to him. How did I come to this music thinking? because of the Russian, I'm trying to link it to the Russian context I'm coming from. And as you all know, the 20th century produced a range of world famous composers whom I couldn't actually avoid and who penetrated me directly or indirectly, whom I was absorbing through TV or radio. And also another mundane fact, I spent the first 27 years in the apartment of my parents in a tall apartment building surrounded by 45 other flats. But 3 closest neighbors out of those 3 were 2 who were music teachers. So on the left side of my apartment and above, there were music teachers who were teaching students to play the piano. And so 24/7, I was listening to the rhythm of the hill of both of the teachers. And that's how I guess I was absorbing music. And that's how actually, yes, I was educating myself in a kind of a passive way. And it all now is being slowly returned through my poetry.
I love this. I love how the narrow walls actually made you, you know, have a PhD at Lucas School of Arts right now. Okay, that's awesome. And I'm very happy also that you made the connection with music, you know, between poetry and music, because I mean, I think it's true for creative writing in general that, you know, the melody and all that, the rhythm of the language, that it's very important, but it's especially true for poetry. So I think it's a very good one. So thank you for, you know, bridging, making this bridge with music. And then maybe it's also not so surprising that we have a few musicians and singers with us tonight. Also, people who are also doing music apart from poetry, several. But the first that I want to introduce you to is Kamila Janiak. Maybe you know her under a pseudonym that she sometimes uses, which is Daisy Kowalski. So she's a Polish poet, but she's also a singer, and somehow there's a game of 4s here because she sings in 4 bands and she has published 4 books of poetry. And the last of those 4 books got nominated for the Wisława Szymborska Poetic Award and another Polish Poetic Award that I won't even try to pronounce. I'm sure it's very prestigious. All right, but let's see her poetry first in a short video.